best of Jaylene. Mouth wide open for Jaylene. She's just eating punches heavy on the chin. Oh, and another whiplash head kick. Oof.
We are live. Woo! What's going on, people? We are back from a hiatus. I know we have been missing. I'm sorry. I had a baby. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Andrea, and to my newborn baby, Mirakai, who is about 4 months old now, doing well. Just stood on his own for the first time today. So super happy about that. Yes. Thank you very much. Give a little round of applause for, my baby.
Good for him, man.
I also want to take a moment, just a brief moment, to give a shout out to a member of the Camo family who was very integral in the beginning of this company and the gloves that have made us who we are and given us the ability to do what we do. We unfortunately lost him to a tragic accident over the weekend, over last weekend. Ryan Spink was a very, very integral part of Camo. He was the lead ref for Camo, and he has started and helped a lot of fighters in their careers on many different levels. He was the co-founder of Victorville Cobra Kai Gym in Victorville, Cobra Kai being the one that you see in Karate Kid. Yes, that he was the co-founder of the original Cobra Kai Gym, and he outside of his regular duties, his fatherly duties, his husband duties, he took time off to go and ref amateur MMA events all throughout California. Very, very awesome dude. Awesome dude, and the amateur MMA world misses him dearly, so we want to give a shout out to Ryan Spink and his family. Our condolences and our thoughts and prayers are with you. That being said, one of the people that has had the ability to be in the ring with Mr. Spink, we are sitting with today. We wanted to start this return from the hiatus with a bang, and so we had to have somebody on that was just nonstop fireball, and I couldn't think of anyone better than this woman sitting across from me. She is, if you've ever seen her fight, you know exactly what I'm talking about. She is one of the most prolific female strikers in the game. She is an absolute pleasure to watch on all levels, in and out the ring. She is a pillar in the community, and we are really happy to have her on the show today. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm talking about a gold medalist in the 22 World Games in Muay Thai, 4-1 MMA, current champion. You can see this is just a few of the belts. We didn't have enough room on the table, but Miss Ashley Feiner. Woo! What's going on, hey, Ashley? Man. How you doing today?
I'm glad to be here. Grateful to be here, you know. Excited to talk a little bit about my journey and how I came to amass so many fights and so many belts, and I just been doing the thing for so long that it's fun to revel in it a little.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, when you've got so much gold, we were talking, I said she probably ran out of the wall because these were a little dusty, so I think she keeps these in the garage.
Right.
I think she keeps her show belts actually on a wall somewhere.
My show belts aren't here, but that's okay. Yeah, I think I have 4 more. Yeah, I have like 4 more belts, but those ones, I got to grab those out of a storage. It's a little far away.
I got to do my Vanna White right here.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice. I can tell you've been working on that.
Yeah, I know. I've been practicing.
Look at that wave.
I'm trying to get that right.
But yeah, it was quite the journey to amass all these. You know, it's the ride that every adrenaline junkie loves, to get in there and do the thing. And when you just trust the process, you continue fighting, eventually the laurels come to you.
Yeah, that's true.
As much as they mean to me, the fights mean more.
So how long have you been fighting?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, competitively, just about. I started training at 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
So late bloomer.
Yeah. I didn't start super early. I did play a lot of contact sports growing up. I played tackle football on the boys team.
What?
Yeah, Pop Warner all the way through high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, we got to back up. Don't skip. So let's go to the top because we can't just jump in at Pop Warner football. That's just too. We got to give you guys some build up. Sorry, guys.
Right. Okay.
So you grew up in Fresno.
No, I grew up in Ceres, California.
Where is that?
Exactly, right. It's a small town right next to Modesto.
Okay.
Yeah, you could drive one side to the other about 10 minutes.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There's one street goes all the way through the whole town. That's got the most lights on it.
Yeah, that's the strip that everybody rides up and down.
Yeah. It's about 3 exits on the freeway when you take the 99, right in between Turlock and Modesto.
Got it.
Yep, it's right there.
I personally haven't spent a lot of time out there, but I have seen the freeways
I don't know
on the way to
would.
Vegas. Yeah. Seen it.
Yeah, it's an ag town, little ag town.
Okay.
Ceres is actually the goddess of agriculture, if you didn't know.
Didn't know.
Yeah,
okay.
so a lot of the agriculture in that area comes from Ceres, a lot of fields.
Where's your family in the farming?
So growing up, no, and then when my mom remarried, my stepdad was actually an almond farmer out there. So yes, eventually, right?
Okay.
And then I went to Fresno State, which is where I moved to Fresno, and I went there for animal science. So I have a bachelor's in animal science.
Was your goal being a veterinarian at that time?
No. So animal science has a lot of different venues that you can have. It's very similar to pre-vet.
Okay.
You have to take 4 extra years after.
Pre-vet? That's like pre-med?
Yeah. So
I'd never heard that term before. I'm learning a lot on this show already. We're like 5 minutes in.
Yeah, right. Vets, you need 8 years of schooling.
Okay.
Same as doctors.
Okay.
You have to take 4 years pre-vet, very competitive, and then you take 4 years of veterinary school. And getting into veterinary school, very competitive. So animal science, it's only a couple classes off of pre-vet.
Okay.
But there are a lot of venues you can take with it because it's very science-based, but it's very agriculture-based. Okay. So you have a lot of processing classes where you go in and you learn about the different species of animals and how they're raised and how they're reproduced and then how they're processed into food. And so I've gone through all of those classes. I have a very good science base. I've taken all the OChem and biochemistry classes. Mm-hmm. That's helped a lot with fighting, right? Mm-hmm. I have a good science base, so I understand the chemical processes in your body. It helps me with cutting weight. It helps me with supplement understanding. A lot of things, just eloquence in general for all of the things that I need for fighting. Uh-huh. It comes in handy. The nutrition aspect of it, right? I know how to balance ratio diets for dairy cattles. Just ridiculous things that help me relate it to my own nutrition.
Got it.
So that was really cool to go and get that bachelor's. Now I just decided right afterwards that I wasn't going to do that. And I was going to go punch people in the face instead. So I'm not using my degree for anything other than nutrition in my
about learning how to keep myself strong so I can beat people up.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So growing up, I assume to have played football, you were a bit of a tomboy growing up?
Quite the tomboy.
Okay. Yeah, any brothers and sisters?
I got 4 brothers.
Are you the only girl?
Yeah.
Baby?
No, middle.
Middle, okay.
Yeah. So I grew up with 3 brothers, 2 older, 1 younger, and then when my parents remarried later, I got another brother or 2 and an extra sister. So
awesome.
That was cool.
Okay.
But I grew up with 3 brothers, 2 older, 1 younger, and that helped toughen me up a little bit. Granted, I'm tougher than them, let's be real.
I'm not going to question that.
Neither do they.
So what's the age range there?
I got my younger brother, he's my full-blooded, right?
Uh-huh.
So we got the same dad. We're the only one. And he's a year younger.
Okay.
Then I got older brother 6 years older. Okay. Oldest brother 12 years older.
Okay, so a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, we got
there.
some range. We got some range. But definitely love those guys to death. Super close to my family. They mostly live here in San Diego. One of my brothers is out in Washington, but he just moved there like 2 years back. So they've been in San Diego for a while. I just got here last year for fighting.
So been able to hook back up with the family too. So
yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I came here for fighting, but one of the advantages is my family was already down here. So I got the I got to spend more time with them, and I've been able to reconnect with them a little bit more being down here.
Okay. And big football family?
My dad was.
Dad was.
Dad was, yeah.
So did your brothers play football?
No. Well, one of them played for a few years, but I played more football than all my brothers.
So okay, so let's get into that.
I was a tough one.
Did you just
I had the grit.
Was Pop Warner a big thing in series?
I mean, not really. We had really crappy football. So I actually was a cheerleader for like 1 year, right? And I go to my mom after cheerleading happened for that year, and I go, Mom, so there's no winner in cheerleading.
I'm trying to win.
I'm trying to win something.
I'm not trying to cheer for somebody else to win.
I'm way competitive. I'm too competitive for cheerleading. Can I play football? And she's like, sure, why not? And so that's when I got into football, and it stuck, man. I'm an aggressive person. I got all of my aggression out there, and it was celebrated, right? My rough and tumble attitude, my resilience was celebrated instead of, I don't
Frowned
know.
upon.
Right.
Okay.
Like as a girl growing up, you know, my mom wanted me to wear dresses.
The taboos,
She got me into Girl Scouts and all these things, and I liked them okay, and you know, I'll wear a dress every now and then, but at the core of my being, I'm just a tough person, and I like being resilient, and I like who I am. So allowing that to shine through was a really cool thing at a young age, made me really confident.
Got it.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
Outside linebacker.
What?
Yeah.
Are you people listening? She played outside linebacker. All the women that I've ever seen have been kickers. Yeah. So she's already breaking the norms here, okay?
Receivers, yeah.
Outside linebacker put those people put fear. I was a receiver. Yeah. So outside linebackers were not my friends unless it was the one time I got to crack back. And then, you know, I got to run down and crack them when they weren't looking. That was the one good time. But other than that, I tried to stay as far away as I could from outside linebackers. And it's when they're
waiting for that bubble pass, right?
Exactly.
It's when they're waiting for that running back to pop out. And they're like, they're waiting for that pass, and you get to come up and just.
I get to be the outside linebacker for that one play, and awesome.
Tight ends too.
And then I run off the field. I hit, and then I'm like, I gotta run because when he gets up, he's gonna look at me. He's gonna be looking for me next play.
So in college, I got into women's professional football, and I played that for 5 years. And so when I was doing that with all these adults, and that was full tackle, full contact, 100 yards, not arena football, right? And these women, they were like firefighters and paramedics and all these cool women that I got to meet. I was the youngest on the team, and I learned a lot from them there. But like 2 years, 3 years in, I go, man, I need to stay in shape in the off season. Yeah, that's when I walked into a UFC gym. I was 19 years old, 2 years in, and I was just like, I need to figure out a way to stay in shape. Let's try kickboxing. And so I hit pads the first day.
Why kickboxing? Had you seen kickboxing on television or something?
A little bit. I didn't follow
anybody
too much.
In the family in martial arts?
No. So we did a little bit Taekwondo growing up. Okay. Nothing crazy, right? Okay. But we did do a little bit. My mom did it with us. Okay. That was fun. We all got our green belt. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So go, Mom. Go, Mom. A year or two. We had a lot of little sports that we dabbled in and tried. But when I went and hit pads, they were like, well, would you ever fight competitively? I'm like, that sounds like me. That sounds like something I would do.
I'm already hitting people competitively.
Let's try it. And so I think that tasting stuff in your 20s is a big deal, right? Understanding that you just need to try stuff until you find something that you freaking love. If you don't know what you're passionate about yet, you got to taste things. Until you find something that you're like, oh, this tastes good. I need to do more of this. And that's what I did with football, was my first love. Okay. And then when I got into a weight class sport, I'm 125 pounds. Yeah. Those girls on the women's pro team, 6'2", right?
Yeah, they were professionals.
Yeah, they're huge, right? They're huge, and
I might be a kicker now. I'm thinking about being a kicker. That's outside linebacker.
Me trying to run as fast as I could to crack somebody. My speed was pretty good, and that's how I got into it. I'm pretty strong, but for 125, I'm really strong at my weight class. Yeah. So I got into this weight class sport, and I was like, oh man, this is what I need to be doing. Okay. And so it clicked. I did both for a while. So your first gym was UFC? Was that just had you been following martial arts at that time, mixed martial arts at that time? A little bit. Not really into it? So I liked it, right? The problem with UFC back then, you had to buy them every week. And so I liked watching, but I didn't have anybody explaining to me what was going on, like the strategy behind it. I didn't understand the depth of martial arts. Once I started understanding the depth of martial arts, it clicked for my mind because I love strategy. And being able to utilize my physical and my mental capabilities simultaneously was
threat.
really attractive to me.
Okay.
I consider myself rather intelligent, and using that intelligence and applying it to my physical attributes was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So that made me hungry.
Never heard of it discussed like that before.
Yeah, because you're doing both, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You have to be able to think under duress
at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time.
In stressful situations. Yeah.
You got to be able to keep your calm. Okay. So going to UFC gym, kickboxing
Just show up.
Just hey, I'm gonna
to
use
class.
I did some taekwondo. I'm gonna do some kickboxing.
Yeah, I'm an athlete. Let's go. And then I latched on to my Muay Thai coach that I had for 8-9 years, and that was Sean Moore out of and he ran the Muay Thai unit in UFC gym. He ended up leaving after a few years. I followed him, right?
Which UFC gym was this, by the way?
This was the one in Fresno.
Fresno, okay.
Yeah, the one in Fresno. So I followed him. He started his own independent gym. I was really successful under him, had a lot of fights under him. But I didn't get super serious about super serious until I graduated college.
Okay. So you were fighting straight out of high school or at 19?
19.
So right out of high school.
So like within 6 months I started fighting, and it was like a hobby, right? I didn't consider it something I was going to do forever yet. I just maybe as a hobby forever, but I didn't think
competing in kickboxing.
Yeah, just competing,
on the weekends,
having some fun, man.
Going
enjoying
to work,
myself, right? Beating people up. It was fun, and then I met my girl like last year and a half, 2 years of college.
Okay.
Yeah, right after my ACL surgery, and yeah, it was rough. I had a rough year when I was 21. It was probably my roughest year ever, and then year or two later, I met my girl. I was pulling myself out of those mental hole. I had a lot of tragedies happen and just rough stuff.
Understandable.
But then after that, you start pulling yourself out of it. I was still going to school full time. I was still doing 2 sports. I was working full time. Like I was
sports.
Well,
what was the other one?
Fighting and football.
You were playing?
Oh, I did them both for years.
Wow.
Yeah, for like 3 years, I did them both. On top of being a full-time student.
No wonder why you're into body science so much. Yeah, because you would have no body after. Most football players are not about to go step in a kickboxing ring under any circumstances.
Yeah, you have to optimize your nutrition. It bit me in the butt. That's why I tore my ACL.
Okay.
I was putting too much strain.
Okay.
And so I did that playing football.
Okay.
And that's when I quit football. And I was like, okay, now that there's a consequence, right? Because I learned the hard way. Now that there's a consequence, I got to reel back. Focus on what it is I want. And so as I'm going to graduate college, I only got 1 year left. I'm like, I don't think I want to do this. I don't think I want to do college stuff. This animal science is great. It's fun, but it's not as fun as fighting. I am really passionate about fighting. And right after I came off my ACL, I had 6 fights at the time for Muay Thai. And I fought for my first belt. Okay.
This is the first one.
Yeah, so I lost like 2 months out of my recovery, right? My 10-month recovery. 2 months after that, I fought April Vergara out of Boxing Works LA. Awesome person. Love that girl to death. And I lost. Well, they were like, do you want a rematch in 6 months for a belt? And I'm like, for sure.
Of course.
I won that one.
Okay.
That was my first title belt.
Yeah.
That started a lot. And my girl looks at me. She goes, honey, I think this is what you need to be doing. After I lost the first one.
She still said that?
That's what she said after I lost.
Wow.
She goes, I think that you need to be doing this. You are that good. I go, I just lost.
Was that first fight close?
It's close.
Okay.
Yeah, close fight. And it was a 3-rounder. She's like, I think you need, but I had just come off of a hiatus from having surgery.
Yeah.
She's like, that was a great performance.
Most people are going to tell you, like, maybe you should take it easy.
And she's like, no, this is what you need to do. She was very serious about it. And she's like, what do I need to do to help you?
Oh.
And so I ended up quitting my job right before I was cooking at Chili's. And Chili's. That's where me and her met. She was a server, right? She's a server.
2
I was
for
a
$20.
cook.
All right.
And we were just trying to get through college. She was going to nursing school. I was going to school for animal science. And I had a couple months left. And I was like, man, I am not doing well enough in my classes. She's like, what do you need? I'm like, I need to quit my job. I'm working 40, 50, 60 hours a week sometimes, just depending in kitchens. So she went ahead and was like, okay, baby, well, quit your job. We'll figure it out. We'll put some stuff on credit cards. We'll figure it out. And you need to focus on graduating, then you need to focus on fighting. So that's what I did. And I mean, I kept a job, right? Because I've been in softball umpire for 15 years.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So I've been doing that a long time.
Did you play softball too?
Not really. 1 or 2 years, but
how the hell?
I just got into it. I just started tasting shit, okay?
I was tasting stuff, okay?
Tasting shit.
I tasted umpire. I liked it.
I liked
it. Was good.
It was hard.
Yeah.
I think it makes me a better fighter because you have to analyze plays and slow them down and understand what happened in the play.
You have to be watching. You have to be very intent and observant on what's happening.
I had a CIF high school final yesterday at SDSU.
Wow.
It was intense.
You're still umpiring?
Oh, yeah. I do college ball. Yeah.
Okay.
I do it all.
All right.
Umpiring's cool because I can do it in the middle of my training schedule.
Got it.
I can do a game at 3 o'clock. I can train at 10 in the morning. I can train at 6 o'clock at night and do a game right in the middle, make some money every day, or on the weekends you go do travel ball and still maintain the schedule that I need for fighting.
Got it.
That way I can contribute financially because technically I'm still an amateur.
Yeah, all right.
Right. I have fought a lot of pros at this point. I want to say about 10 of my fights were against pros. Okay. At this point. And
how many fights have you had?
I'm at about 40.
About 40, because it's not accurate. If I try and look up your fights, it only shows your MMA career.
Yeah, I can pull out my resume. It has.
I can see your resume.
All right. No, but I have the actual record and everything. It's hard to remember it. I'm not going. When you get so many, you just start fighting to fight. You don't fight for wins. Yeah. Right? I try to tell people this all the time, especially when they lose. I don't fight because I'm in love with winning. I fight because I'm in love with fighting. So after losses, people get really, sore, beat up about it. And I'm like, well, it's part of the game. This is a learning opportunity. When I lose, it's because I didn't do something right or my opponent did something really right.
Exactly.
And it's an opportunity to level up. There are levels in this game, and the more you fight, the more you're going to level up. Got it. So I'm just grateful at this point to have opponents.
Have you ever turned down a fight?
I mean, it depends. Yeah, I've turned down fights that were at weights that I didn't like. Okay. Right? Because I get offered I fought at all kinds of weights. Naturally, for the same day weigh-ins for like Muay Thai, I'm at 118. Okay. And that's 54 kilograms. And so for my tournaments, I've hit that 3 days in a row for every fight. Wow. You have to weigh in every day that you fight. That's nuts. And so I'll hit 118.8 every single day. But I've accepted fights all the way up to 127 pounds.
Whoa, that's a difference.
For day before weigh-ins. It's a huge difference, right? I remember there was this one girl, when I fought for the Cal State title for IKF, it was 122, and this girl comes in at 122 day before weigh-ins. The next day, I think I put on 6 pounds. So, I was like 128 the next day. Yeah. She put on 22 pounds.
What?
Yeah.
Did she have a twin? What the hell?
It's funny because she was shorter than me, and I didn't think she was that thick, but God, when we started clenching, I was like, man, this girl's heavy.
It's a bowling ball.
She was like 145 pounds when we fought. I'm like, this girl's too heavy for me. Day before, for MMA, I'll end up fighting 115. Okay. And I'm extremely tall for that. I'd say, I think I'm taller than every single girl in the UFC roster for 115. Because I'm 5'8".
Yeah. I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
I think the tallest girl is 5'6". Okay.
Well, UFC, you're on notice.
Let's go.
You're on notice. She's coming. Yeah. She knows the sizes and weights of all of you right now.
We're gonna try. So we're going pro, and we're gonna try and stay local. Try to hook up with Cage Warriors. Okay. And stay local for the first couple pro fights. And then I'm shooting for UFC in the next 2-3 years, honestly.
I think the women's categories right now are a little bit more exciting than the men's.
Especially strawweight, right?
Yeah, loving it.
Man, I can't wait to get in that strawweight category for UFC.
I love it.
They're stacked. There's a bunch of fighters in there.
With your style, and we're going to put some clips in here, so you guys should have already seen some clips at the beginning, but with your style, and I haven't gotten a chance to really see you on the ground because it never really, you don't really give people a chance to take you to the ground.
You try.
Yeah, they can try, but I've never seen it successfully done. But I can't wait to see what they're going to do to try and stop your striking ability.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see it too, because it's going to help me level up.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't followed a lot of women's Muay Thai, but just watching you do what you do in the ring, it's phenomenal. Like your accuracy, the way you set things up, your follow through, your power. I mean, it's like textbook. It's
Thank you.
like you could run a clinic and be like, this is where your leg should be. This is where your foot should end up.
Sure.
It's perfect. And your opponents are literally stunned because like Mike Tyson said, you have a game plan until you get punched in the face. Well, when you get kicked in the face,
right,
everything is out the window at that point. Your body is telling you, we need to get away. We need to run. We need to. We're not going to stand here and take too many more of those.
Right.
So it's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
When did you figure out that like you were good at Muay Thai? Like, was there a breaking point where somebody was really like, hey, You're pretty good at this.
You mean besides my wife to be?
Yes. Well, of course, she's a little biased. Shout out to wifey, but she's going to be a little biased.
Right. Well, at the same time, no, because it's very scary for somebody to say, hey, instead of going and making, cool 60
decent
grand
money,
a year,
safely.
We're broke. Like, we were college students. We're freaking broke. And she's like,
Drop out.
You need to put off making money so that you can do this. And that's still the case. I still have not made money at fighting.
It takes a minute.
And that's going to make me shoot to the top, I think. I've put in the groundwork now. Most people, a lot of people, I don't want to say most, a lot of people, after 6 fights, 7 fights, they're like, time to go pro. Right?
Yeah.
MMA fights. They don't go to striking. They don't do jiu-jitsu matches, right? You need to do one of them, right? Separately, because
and
you
be
have
competitive at that too. Yeah.
Yeah. MMA is where you put it all together, but when you have specialists at that style, you become very good at that style. The striking, and Muay Thai is the striking. Let's be honest.
It is.
Like, it is
full body, everything, elbows, knees, kicking.
It's the striking. It's where striking needs to be. And the Muay Thai fighters that are really successful, I don't know if you know this, Joanna Jacek and Valentina Shevchenko have both become IFMA world champions, which IFMA is the sanctioning body for the World Games.
Got it.
So world championships, IFMA, every year, right? They have yearly ones. World Games, which I had the fortunate pleasure of winning last year, is every 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. And it wasn't super popular in the World Games, so not a lot of countries participated in it for a lot of years. This was the first time USA.
Why? Why was that?
You need a certain amount of popularity in the sport, and the sanctioning body in your country has to be recognized by like the Olympic committees and stuff for you to be able to sanction your fighters to go overseas and fly them to these mad tournaments where all the other countries are fighting against you. You only have one representative from each weight class for each country, but it goes through a rigorous process. It takes years for this process. It's taken years and years to get Olympic recognition for Muay Thai, and we finally have it now.
Well, you were essential in that. In 2022, Ashley was one of 3 people to bring home the first gold medals for the United States in Muay Thai in the World Games.
Right.
So there are only 3 medals in the entire United States for the World Games in Muay Thai, and she has one of them.
I have one of the gold ones, yeah.
So she fought an amateur. She went as an amateur.
Yep.
She then fought 2 professional world champions.
Yeah.
I want you to understand what that is. She fought 2 professional world champions with 40-plus fights under their belt.
40-plus pro fights.
40-plus pro fights.
Right.
And she was able to come away victorious. Last fight was against an Italian, correct?
Yes. So crazy thing, I actually lost that fight. I lost that fight split decision, and I got the call, I want to say like a couple months later, 2-3 months later, that she tested positive.
Oh.
Yeah, for, because they test you, it's like Olympics. They test you afterwards, and it was just for diuretics, but you can't use any help to cut weight.
Correct.
So she was cutting weight, but she tested positive for an illegal substance and got stripped of her medal.
So you moved up.
Yeah. So to give you some perspective, you fight 3 times in 3 days.
Wow.
You weigh in every single day, right? It's tough,
strenuous,
man. It's tough.
We're talking about Muay Thai fights.
So it's a game of inches. When you win a split decision, it comes down to 2 or 3 exchanges. Okay. And Muay Thai is intense. It's not like you can stall out of things. If the action stops, if you're clenching, the action stops. the ref breaks it and you go again.
You can start again.
Yeah, so it's intense. And then fighting multiple times, multiple days, anything that's going to give you an advantage in terms of energy is definitely a no-no.
Okay.
And so not cutting weight the correct way, right? I do it in a sauna, you do it by running, you do it by whatever. If you don't have to cut weight that way, if you can just pee it out,
great.
You have an advantage.
So going into that, you had won those 2 fights. You get into this last fight. You lose that fight. You're at World Games.
Yep.
This is your first time. This is a pretty big stage.
Yeah.
A lot on the line here. What was it like losing that fight? What did you feel after that fight? Did you feel like, hey, maybe I should have won that? Were you questioning the win, her win at that time? Or were you pretty down on yourself? Or what were you feeling?
So I wasn't down on myself.
Okay.
I fought one of the best in the world. This girl has multiple world championships as a professional fighter. Okay. The one I fought the day before, it's funny, I did a podcast and the dude actually brought up Yolanda Schmidt, right, as a big name in Muay Thai. She has like 40 pro fights and, she's a world champion. That's the one I fought the second day. And going into it, before he mentioned that, wasn't even worried about my opponents. I didn't look them up, nothing, because I didn't know who I was going to draw.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm just going to fight. Whatever.
Don't psych yourself out, too. It's too much.
But then these people start putting pressure on me. I had a huge emotional dump after that second fight because I got real nervous when people started talking to me about, oh, this girl's laurels are so crazy in Muay Thai. I'm like, wow, she's done more than me.
Like, I did not know. Okay.
Okay, and so I had this huge emotional dump after the second day, and then I go fight this other world champion. And so I wasn't super down on myself. It was a close fight. Like I said, maybe I edged her out. Comes down to 2 or 3 exchanges. I think where I lost it was the end of the second round because I won the first round. It's live scoring. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the end of the second round, I go to throw a Superman punch, and I lose my balance, and I fall over. Balance is big in Muay Thai.
Yeah.
But I was extra tired. It was my third fight.
Yeah,
I was trying to win that second round. I just won the first. Yeah. And looking back, I think that I might have edged her out in the second round, but with that loss of balance, I could see why they would score it against me.
Got it.
Right? And then third round is definitely hers.
Okay.
So that second round is the questionable one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that happens. And you have to just put it on yourself. Hey, I didn't do enough. What are you gonna? Super accountability is how you become a better fighter. If you go, oh, I won that fight. Judges, what were they looking at? Blah, 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 blah. Well, you're never going to become better.
True.
Right? You're not going to be able to level up off of that. And if you go, you know what? I didn't run enough. I should have ran 2 more miles during this camp. I should have done this much more because I was more tired than her.
Got it.
Right?
True.
And then I found out later that she cut weight a different way. And then I was like, well, maybe I was more tired than her because I did things the right way. So I was, okay with it. But I think for me, when I found that out, man, I started crying. I was like, nobody gives you a second chance in fighting. Mm-hmm. Nobody gives you a second opportunity. That was the only opportunity I was going to get to win gold at the first World Games that USA was going to compete in. Right? This was a huge deal.
Huge.
And I wasn't going to get that opportunity again, but I was wrapping up my Muay Thai career with that, regardless of if I won or lost. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it was unfinished. And then I got this call, and I'm like, oh.
Where were you when you got the call?
I was at home. And my coach calls me. He goes, hey, you know that one tournament you did last year? He was just
casual tournament.
You know that tournament you did last year? World something. And I go, yeah, World Games. Yeah. I vaguely remember it. We had to get sponsors and do the whole thing. But, yeah, we flew out to Alabama. Bunch of sports there, by the way.
In Alabama?
Well, at World Games.
Oh, World Games. Oh, represented. Yeah,
softball,
of course. Yeah.
And wheelchair rugby, which was really cool.
Wow.
They called it murder ball. It was fun.
It's
a fun
look that up.
Yeah, fun one to watch.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. I remember. What's up? And he goes, well, you remember how they test people after all the gold medalists get tested just to make sure they're clean athletes? And I was like, no effing way, Carl.
You already knew? I
already knew. When he told me, he's like, you remember how they test people? I go, no effing way. I was like, don't F with me right now, dude. I swear to God. And he's like, I'm
going to kick you.
So they tested the world, the gold medalist, and it just so happened. I'm like, don't mess with me. He's like, she came back positive, and you are now a gold medalist. And I lost my mind. I screamed, I cried, and just happy as can be. And then I was like, man, you never get opportunities twice like this. This is like a second chance to make the memory that I wanted to make the first time. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what do you mean I'm a gold medalist? What? And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm considered the best in the world for this particular style. And God, it felt good.
I bet it does.
So validating. You know, when you go to sleep at night after you lose a fight like that, as much as I wasn't upset at the time because I feel like I performed well, every night when I went to sleep, I was like, I didn't do enough in my camp. I needed to run a few more miles.
You're trying to figure out what it was.
I needed to do a few more burpees. I was too tired. I was more tired than this girl. Going into the third, I had nothing left, and she looked like the freaking Energizer Bunny. And apparently, I need to do more, right? Every single night before you go to sleep, you think that. Make sure you do enough in training. And then I get this call, and that relief rushes over you, and you're like, I did do enough. I did things the right way.
Yeah.
And that's why.
It was out of your control.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think everything's in your control when it comes to fighting. I still think I could have beat her. And I think
that would have been super sweet.
I think if it was a ring fight, right? We had a single fight that I could have beat her.
Okay.
Your draws are different, right? I fought a world champion right before her. She did not.
True.
So, like, who you fight leading up to that
also
very important.
Yeah.
Like, and the girl I fought second had a first round bye, so she was more rested. So,
Damn.
And she was the only one with the first round bye.
So that was a hard-earned goal.
That's why I had such a big energy. I'm like, I fought yesterday, she didn't fight yesterday, and like, just like going into it, psyching yourself out. After I won that fight, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Ugly cry. And then cue all the stress hormones. And then the next day, having to cut weight again after that.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of hormones that go into cutting weight. And when you have an adrenaline dump and an emotional dump like that, totally affects it the next day. But World Games was crazy. And I couldn't be more grateful to be the world champion. Like, it's still weird to say sometimes.
Is that your biggest accolade to yourself right now?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because the level was up here.
Yeah.
100%. Like, I have state titles. I have national titles. National title was pretty cool. Last year in Colorado, that was the qualifier for
the
World Games to become on the team. I also fought a pro there. She was ranked, like, 8th for WBC belts, right? And I TKO'd her in the second round by breaking her nose and just everywhere.
Kicked in the face, people.
And
I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again.
Like, you pick up that teep and you try to put it right on their nose because it's the only part of you that's not padded.
Yeah.
Because in Olympics they pad everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, got it.
So we had headgear, we had shin guards. We had to fight multiple days. So they're trying to avoid injury so that you can fight the next day.
Got it.
I was trying to inflict injury.
So you can't fight. So you can't fight the next day. Yeah. Going home with this L.
Yeah, yeah.
And some bruises.
So that was a cool accolade for national. That made me a national champion. And then World Games, of course, was the biggest one for me.
So, that's pretty much where you can go. I mean, you can continue fighting pro for Muay Thai, but why make the transition over into MMA?
I want all my weapons.
Okay.
Like, people might think that I'm a striker, but I love being on the ground too.
There is a couple of jiu-jitsu medals amongst the belts. Yes.
Solid blue belt.
You know.
I've been a blue belt a couple years. I'd say I'm just about ready to get my purple.
Okay.
I don't train in the gi a lot. It's hard hard to go up in belts when you don't train in gi.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a tradition.
So I'm thinking it's going to happen with competition.
Okay.
Right? When I start elevating myself in competition, I think that's when I'm going to get promoted. You know, you see a lot of the fighters, they go in and then after a fight, they get a belt. Mm-hmm. Right? Their jiu-jitsu coaches like, okay, you put your skills on display. Here's a belt. I think that's how I'm going to be promoted more likely than not. I do train in the gi sometimes, but most of my stuff is no gi and wrestling. Because let's be real, somebody's going to try and take me down, and I need wrestling.
And how much effort have you put into developing your ground game?
A lot more than people think. Because it's all quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in the
Nobody's
shadows.
ever gets a chance to see it. So we're like...
Yeah, and I think people see it a little bit, right? Obviously, I love hip tosses. My first opponent was a high school wrestler for Epic out here in San Diego last year. Okay, so after World Games, like a month or two later, I was like, all right, time to go MMA. Time to put some more weapons in there. And she was a good wrestler. She was a pancration world champion, which no strikes to the head. So it's like what a lot of the kids get into.
Yeah.
When they first start. She
yeah.
was like 18, so she had just come out of high school wrestling and pancration. I feel like my wrestling was better. Okay. And if you look at that fight, I did actually do a lot of groundwork. I had a couple subs that I threw out there that if I would have just adjusted a little here, a little there, I would have finished them. And so I almost subbed her like 4 times. If you look at my the fight for Epic for MMA, but I'm stoked for people to see my grappling. I think that the balance when you come out of like something like grappling, like you're wrestling, punching on the break from something like that is really important. And people are going to realize pretty quick, like, oh, this girl can separate and punch on the break. And that's when you're in the danger zone, is when you're in a compromised position because you're breaking out of a wrestling position, or you're in the clench on the cage and I'm breaking off and immediately head kick. Like, immediately hard straight, right? Taking an angle, hard, any strike. And using that wrestling to your advantage because it's going to be hard to take me down. I'm strong.
Got it.
I'm strong.
You're obviously a little bit of a nerd too.
A lot of it.
Animal science. Do you think
self-proclaimed?
Do you think that helps you in the ring? Do you think that your ability to learn on an educational level helps you on your athletic level?
100%. My analytical ability in the ring and my fight IQ, I think, are directly correlative to my ability to put things together scientifically. It's very much so cause and effect, testing things out. Yes, that did work. No, that didn't work. Let me scrub that, and being able to adjust on the fly. I also think that umpiring helps a lot with it. Like I said, slowing down those plays in your mind. When you have this high level, it's a boom, boom play. Which came first, ball or foot? You know, and being able to slow that down in stressful situations where you've
got people screaming,
you
parents,
got people screaming at
coaches.
You got coaches that are going to come at you. Those high stress situations, the more acclimated you are to them, and the more you test your brain in those situations, the better you're going to be at it. And I believe that I've started to really master that. And that's why I think it's time to make that jump and go pro, because things are starting to click.
Okay.
I think with this last fight, something clicked with finishing and knowing when to capitalize and knowing when to separate. And I think that's why I had so much success in this last fight, was just that things clicked in the back also. I had the right corners and had the right vibe going out there, the right contributions from different people, right? I had Jenna Bishop in my corner. I don't know if you know her, but she's like 5-0 in Bellator right now.
Yeah. We
Third
follow
degree
all
black
of the Bellator.
belt. Yeah. So Jenna's super cool.
You also work out with a few of the UFC notable females.
Yeah. Angela Hill.
Overkill.
She's awesome, dude. She's always at training, and she's a stud. I love training with her, because the harder you come at her, she comes at you twice as hard. She's like, all right, you ready to bang? Let's bang. And so when we first started training, it was all striking, and we had some wars. I was like, this is what I needed. This is what I freaking needed, to just click over into like I said, have that click of, okay, this is how I'm going to finish fights. Like, when to turn up.
Turn it on.
Yeah, and when turning up is dangerous.
Of course. Because
she's super dangerous when you come in on her, right? So knowing the differentiation between, I'm going to get hit if I come in crazy, and calculating your attacks a little bit more was really beneficial. High-level striking with Angie, high-level grappling with Jenna, putting the two together, having both in my corner for the last fight.
Yep.
Super paramount to my success.
And you've got an amazing following. I mean, people come out to watch you.
Thank you.
You do pack the house. Every time you win. I don't know if we put that clip in there. We're going to see if we can get it in there. But she is just, the level of excitement that she brings to the ring pre-fight and post-fight. When she wins, I mean, she's dancing. She is just having a good time, and the crowd just digs it. I mean, they absolutely love it. I think it's a big part of why you have such a huge following and why you're going to go so far in the sport. Not only just because you're super talented, but
I try to be good, right?
But but you're a crowd pleaser too. People love to be engaged with you. They love to talk to you. They just love to get that energy because you're always so positive and so happy. Where does that always happy disposition come from?
My passion. I have so much passion for this sport. It just overflows, man. When I'm out there and I'm entertaining people, I think that's why I stick to striking too. Even though like I have decent grappling, it's not fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's decent, and I could potentially win fights that way. I think that I gravitate towards striking because it's so entertaining. It's what I like to watch, right?
Yeah.
When somebody's getting smacked, that's what you want, man. You know, there are some really explosive grapplers I like when they're transitioning super fast. That's the type of grappling that I like.
Okay.
Okay. But my passion for this sport is deep. And when I'm in that ring, man, I feel the energy from everybody else, and I ride it like a wave.
Got it.
You know, being out there with support is new. When I first started, I didn't have a ton of people. I was probably one of the only fighters in my gym. I come from a very small gym. And then I moved out here for training, training partners.
Why? What made you say San Diego's where I need to be to train?
It's one of the biggest fight scenes.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So how did you find that out? Just through the grapevine and just being involved in the sport?
Yeah, I think knowing where the camps are. I think the female presence in San Diego is a lot bigger than Fresno. Fresno had a lot of good wrestlers. And so right before I left Fresno, we had some like state champion 115 male wrestlers that I was going toe-to-toe with. I mean, they were smashing me, mind you. But I was trying to go toe-to-toe and getting better every day because the wrestling scene in Fresno is so huge. That being said, they were all male.
Okay.
And it made me elevate my game to higher extents because I did have to compete with males. And I love being able to compete with males and go toe-to-toe with them. Like, people are always surprised when they're like, oh, you think you can beat up guys? I'm like, sometimes. I go, are they in my weight class?
Yeah, we got a pretty guys. Yeah, we
I was
got
like,
a pretty
I got
good
fight
chance.
IQ.
Yeah.
I get that there's a physiological difference, but I have spent my entire life trying to close that gap.
It's a science.
Yeah, trying to close that gap. And if I do everything right, there's a bunch of guys that don't. And those,
just because you're a male doesn't make
the
you,
guys that are, they're going to have like a leg up. But there's a bunch of dudes that just don't do it right, and they don't nail their nutrition, and they don't understand, you know, they don't study. I think film is a huge deal. People underestimate the power of watching film on yourself. On yourself, yeah. And then on your opponents, but on yourself. To
see where you're leaving your own gaps. If you were looking at him as an opponent, you're like, oh, man, my arm is way out here. Ooh.
Other stuff
Luckily, they didn't see that.
Other people don't even pick it up, right? Exactly. And I'm like, oh, my 30-24 for Epic, I was like, I could have finished her here, here, and here. I made mistakes here, here, and here. And people are like, oh, but you won that fight 30-24. And I'm like, yeah, and I should have finished that fight in the second round.
Period. No, fuck the scorecard.
Like, you have to have very high expectations for yourself in this world as a female. Yes. And if you don't continuously elevate your expectations and you settle for mediocrity, you're not going to get better. It's true. It's very true. So that's where I'm at with that.
So you are now you've done that your MMA walk. You ended up 4-1. Your first time out, you suffered a loss.
Yeah, that was years ago.
I didn't get a chance to see anything on that one. What was that? What was that like?
I didn't have a ton of grab. I didn't have enough grappling.
Okay,
right.
So that fight went to the ground.
Yeah, so that fight went to the ground. It was funny. I don't know if you know anything. Have you watched Muay Thai fights much?
Yeah, I do. I watched WCK.
So so WCK was last night. That was cool. But if like your mouthpiece falls out, right? They stop you. Stop the fight, yeah. And they're like, hey, and then they put the mouthpiece back in and the whole shebang. My first fight, my mouthpiece fell out. And I'm sitting there and I'm pointing at it. And I'm like, ref, my mouthpiece, right? And I had backed off completely. And he didn't even realize my mouthpiece was on the ground, even though I'm sitting there trying to tell him. He's like, what is she doing? Right. And my opponent's like, oh, he's not stopping the fight. Shot a double immediately. And I was like, F. I tried I was just gonna try not to get on the ground, and now I'm on the ground, and then when we were on the ground, she got me in side control. He stopped the fight and put the mouthpiece back in.
But then you had to restart
in bottom side control, and I'm like,
I don't know where to go from here.
I was mentally screwed after that.
Okay.
So that was my fault, right? I shouldn't have stopped. And that was a learning experience, the difference of going into MMA. Mind you, this was years ago, years and years ago. I want to say 2018, 2017?
Yeah, 2017, I think.
Yeah, for the first two, and then I fought 2 weeks later. I was pissed. I fought 2 weeks later, and I smashed her.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I smashed her.
You've been on a streak since then.
Yeah. I went on a 13-fight win streak after that fight.
Wow. Between all the disciplines?
Between all the disciplines, yeah. And then that ended when I got knocked out for the first time. And
when did this happen?
Yeah, right? 2020.
2020.
First year, yeah.
Talk to me.
March of 2020. That was an awesome learning experience, man. I was a little complacent. We had a couple disconnects, I think, with my coach at the time.
Where was this?
This was, so the fight happened in Stockton.
Okay.
It was Muay Thai. Okay. We were main event, no headgear, no shin guards. It was for because IKF has sectional titles for California. Mm-hmm. I have the overall California title.
But there's
this one was for Northern.
Yeah, got it.
Right. This one was for Northern. And came out, I think I won the first round. Right? Mm-hmm. Personally, when I look back at it, I don't know what the judges said, but because it never got that far. But I think I won the first round and pretty decisively. But the second round, man, I went to go catch a kick, and instead of going, you go like around and you curl it so that you're blocking, so you have this frame.
You try and trap
I went down.
Yeah. Ooh. And it slid right up the top.
Slid right up, man.
You gave her a template, huh?
Yeah.
Right to your face.
Bounced off my shoulder, boom, and I was out before I hit the canvas.
Oh.
She's a great Muay Thai artist. And now she's actually in MMA. Her name's Kendra McIntyre. She just fought for Invicta.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Kendra.
You thinking about seeing her again?
Yeah, for sure.
We got some get back, Kendra.
I'm sure we'll fight eventually. I think we should fight down the road because it's going to be such a good fight. I think that the promotion's got to wait a little bit to get that good of a fight. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. They don't get that right off the bat. So I definitely think we're going to meet up. I'm sure she thinks the same thing. Down the road, we're going to meet up in MMA, and I think it's going to be exciting. But both of us want to get a little bit farther along in our careers before that happens. It's going to be a very high-level fight.
So where are you thinking you're going to come out? Where do you think your pro debut is going to be out of? You trying to get in with Cage Warriors for your pro debut?
Yeah, in San Diego. That's the hope, right? I kind of busted my hand in the last fight that I had. Mm-hmm. I was punching a little too hard, and shit happens. What are you going to do? But the fascia on my hand, I guess I tore off on my knuckle.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so my tendon started to roll.
It's always pleasant.
Yeah. And so they said the scar tissue would grow back.
And it'll
I
be
would
stronger.
grow over it, and it would be fine. But it's now been, 2 months? And my hand specialist said, 2 more weeks, and I can start punching with this hand again.
Okay, so you have been taking it easy.
Yeah, easy, yes. I haven't been punching with this hand. There's a lot of other things you can do.
People up with one hand.
I can elbow with this hand. I've been elbowing and kicking, right? There's a lot you can do with striking. I can't grapple with it yet, so I had to take some time off because grabbing things and holding them and torquing would have potentially re-injured it. So I'm really excited the next 2-3 weeks to hit training really hard. But I've still been 4 or 5 days a week at the gym. Okay. It's not like I'm taking the time off. I just, taking the time.
What's a typical training day?
So right now it's pretty light. It's once a day for 2-3 hours. It's chill. When I'm in camp, I do 4 to 5 doubles. So I tend to hit, and sometimes they're doubles in the morning and at night. Yeah. So they're like quadruples, right?
Wow.
So it just depends on the day. Tuesdays are usually my heavy days. So let me take you through a Tuesday, which is my heaviest day.
Walk us through.
Yeah, it's my heaviest day usually. Tuesday morning, I would do comp class at Alliance at 10 a.m.
Okay.
And Alliance is my jiu-jitsu gym now.
All right. Shout out to Alliance.
Shout out to Alliance. Shout out to Steel MMA. That's my striking gym, right?
Yep.
And so we have a lot of Muay Thai fighters out of Steel. I go to... and that competition class lasts an hour and a half.
Okay.
You roll for 40 minutes of it. And even the drilling is constant movement, intense drilling, right? And then you roll competitive, like 5-6 minute rounds, and you roll for like 40 to 45 minutes. Then at 12, I go to Muay Thai class, 12 to 1.
Okay.
And I do that. I mean, that's pads and all kinds of, right? I do pads and drilling. And that's my first session for the day. It's almost 3 hours, usually about 2.5. You know, I have to do my stretching right after. Boom.
Of course, yes.
20 to 30 minutes. And then go home, rehydrate, shower, do the thing. And then later that night, I have sparring at 6, technical sparring, right? Because I spar twice a week for Muay Thai.
Okay.
I spar twice a week. I do technical sparring, 6 to like 7:15, 7:20.
Okay.
And then I hit no-gi jiu-jitsu 7:30 to 9.
Damn.
So that's my heavy day.
Okay, that's heavy.
That's my heavy day. My light days, I usually just do like a 2-hour session in the morning. Like lately, this whole week, I've been hitting my Muay Thai for an hour and a half. You know, we do intense pad work, and then we do drilling. And then after that, I'll hit a cardio circuit for 20, 30 minutes just to keep my cardio up. Because interval training for cardio is going to be superior. In my opinion. Running's great, but it's like zone 2, zone 3 cardio. And so it's lower. Zone 2, you can talk during it. It's like hikes and stuff. Zone 3 is one step up of that. And while running's great, it's endurance. It's building red muscle fibers.
Yeah.
A little different than the explosive white muscle fibers you need for things like
quick
wrestling.
twitch, yeah.
Yeah, quick twitch, exactly. So interval training where you're spiking it up and you're bringing it down, very similar to a fight, is going to increase those muscle fibers that you need for explosion, which is why I do it so often. It's also going to increase your VO2 max. Yeah.
And you guys are getting the science right now, man, because I'm almost lost, and I'm a damn engineer, and I still don't understand half the stuff she's talking about. Right. So this is great. I love hearing all of it. I can't wait to see what your pro debut is going to be like. Is there anybody right now in the Cage Warriors lineup that you think that you would be a good match for coming out?
You know, I probably should have looked it up. Not off the top of my head. I think anybody they give me, I'm going to smash.
Okay.
Honestly, I think I'm going to finish my first couple pro fights. Just from the differentiation in striking level, because I have been at a striking at a professional level for a long time. Granted, you get a really good jiu-jitsu person in there. You know, like a black belt might go a different way and might end up on the ground. I still think I'm going to win my first couple of pro fights. I'm hoping they're finishes, right? That's what I'm trying to manifest here.
Okay.
Right? I'm not trying to be
Speak it to exist.
Super cocky about it, but right now with the work that I'm putting in, I could see that being an outcome.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm trying to manifest. I do think that I'm going to put on a show.
What weight class are you going to be?
115.
Do you want to go in? You want to go in straw? Okay.
Yeah, straw weight.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be huge for straw weight.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna be huge. And the cool thing about length is when you've been striking a long time, you have good distance control on top of having the length advantage. It's like a, I don't know, it's a twofer.
It's a twofer.
You get both. It's a twofer. Both of them work. Symbiotically. You know, in cohesion with each other.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I really don't. Watching you fight, I can't express it enough. I keep saying it, but I don't think anybody really understands it. You guys are going to have to go do your homework and go watch her films and watch her fight so you really understand why I'm so adamant about her striking ability. I don't think anyone right now has an answer for that. I try to think of prominent females in the sport that might be able to.
Shevchenko and Jacek.
Yeah, right? There's only 2 people, and Liz took out Shevchenko at one point.
She did. So Shevchenko's last fight, I love her to death. She's a little flat. I think she wasn't using movement like she usually does. She was too stationary. I don't know what it was in her camp or whatever, but...
Could have been off night.
Right, just an off night, right? Things happen, but taking those angles, because I'm pretty sure a lot of it was fought in open stance, right? And she was worried. I remember she was worried about, like, one weapon, and I think it just solidified.
Her.
Yeah, absolutely. That sideways, those angling movements, and being able to punch and move at the same time, and being able to switch stances is also something that I can do really well.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that it's going to be awesome to start climbing those ranks, because fine-tuning the ability when you've technically, I don't want to say perfected, it's so hard to perfect things, but you've technically mastered a lot of aspects of Muay Thai, like both stances. Super important. Like, why are pro fighters not mastering both stances? Why not?
It's not boxing.
Why not?
Where we're both orthodox, or he's a southpaw. Yeah. You should be able to go both ways. You should be able to
throw in both.
Just if only for the advantage of throwing your opponent off, because they haven't seen you or expected you to be able to switch to that style.
100%. Defensively, right? Having your balance when you're in a southpaw stance. Say you have to down block and throw that leg back because they're shooting. Now you're in a southpaw stance.
You should be able to strike from there.
Be able to strike, but also just maintaining balance is huge. You see a lot of people when they start walking back, they start coming up, right? When they walk back, they start coming up, they start raising their chin up, and they start becoming open to the center line control, because they're not keeping, they're not keeping that stance proper.
That front.
If you can switch into the proper stance and still have even just defense from southpaw, you're going to be way, way, way better off than not being able to do anything in southpaw. You're going to be able to throw, like, at least one technique. Like, I think kicks are a great example, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Muay Thai fighters can throw kicks from either side like it's nothing.
Not like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing. Because you learn switch kicks, you learn regular kicks. And guess what? When you switch to southpaw, switch kick is just like a regular kick. Like, so if you can throw one kick from southpaw, you can ward off your opponent when they put you off balance and push you back.
This is very true.
Just my opinion.
Again.
Just my opinion.
I'm going to go my van away.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Very good wave.
You should listen.
You're so good at that.
I'm telling you, I've been working on this. I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming.
It's all about the work. When you put the hours in like that,
you see what I'm saying?
the wave gets on
there's
point.
The quick twitch fibers in my show arm.
I saw them, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that you see.
I flinched a little, too.
I try to do what I can do when I can do it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Okay, so we're gonna branch out into the pro. Ooh. When are you thinking that's gonna happen?
Gotta wait for my hand to get better.
Okay, so that's
but
first step.
I want it to happen this year.
You want to go this year? Okay.
Yeah.
You gonna take any other local fights, or maybe some jiu-jitsu bouts in the meantime?
Yeah. So I might do some combat jiu-jitsu at some point. Yeah. I might take some like super fights for jits, but honestly, I think I'm ready to jump in. As long as I stay on a strict jiu-jitsu schedule for training, and I train every day, or at least 5-6 days a week, I get one jits training session in every day, 5-6 days a week for my camps, then I think I'll be good going into my pro fights.
Okay.
It's more about the work that you put in, and the level of partners. As much as I love jits competitions, I am only technically a blue belt, and the girls I'm going to be facing are much higher level.
Yeah.
So I would rather go train with the higher level girls and compete with them in a safe setting.
So it's not as foreign.
And and in an instructional setting before I go do this stuff. Jits is also a little hard because I want to do more wrestling than jits.
Okay. Why?
Because when you're in an MMA fight, you don't want to pull guard. You don't want to be on your back. But in jits, it's a threatening position to be on your back in jits, because people have a ton of subs from your back. But in an MMA fight, it's a completely different scenario. You need more wrestling than jits, right? You do need jiu-jitsu. You absolutely do. But I think that wrestling first, takedown defense is going to be most important for me, right? And I've been working that for years.
Okay.
But being able to specialize my training styles. Also, jits, there's no wall. There's no cage, right? So training with the girls that are willing to wrestle with me because they're also MMA fighters. And then utilizing the jiu-jitsu that is best for MMA and understanding the difference between that and purist jiu-jitsu is very important. A lot of 50-50, a lot of foot locks going on in jiu-jitsu, right? A lot of heel hooks.
Yeah.
Not a ton of that in MMA. There's a couple, right?
Yeah, if it happens to show itself.
If it gets to the ground, right? And but if you have good wrestling, good takedown defense,
you should be able to prevent that.
You should be able to prevent some of it.
Most of it, yeah. A good portion of it.
Yeah, so realistic jiu-jitsu for MMA is a little different.
That's true. That's very true. I think there's a big level between, like you say, the purist jiu-jitsu, because the people who train jiu-jitsu, just jiu-jitsu, are obviously they're planning on being on their back anaconda up and trying to figure out it's a chess match, who's going to get where. Yeah. There is no striking.
Right.
So, you're not worried about somebody punching you in your face while they're trying to do that. So
that's why combat jiu-jitsu would be cool. Yeah. Right? The palm strikes, boom. All of a sudden, guard is not that good. Yeah. All of a sudden, guard is like a danger zone. So learning combat jiu-jitsu would be cool for warm-ups for these fights. But honestly, I just want to jump into it. Like, I'm ready. I've been ready for a year. I wanted to go pro in 2020, and then COVID happened, right? Yeah. My knockout happened. Like, a lot of stuff happened. I needed to reevaluate and go back to the drawing board. And then once we did that, and then moving down to San Diego, I finally have everything where I want it to be. I have the right team. I have the right training partners. I have the right schedule. I have the right regime and the right science and nutrition. So everything is lining up. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready to go pro. I put in the years. I put in the work.
How does wifey feel?
Oh, she's ready for me to go pro too. She's like, you need to make some money.
She's like, yes, ma'am. She's like, my bet's hedging right now.
She's like, let's just count up all the costs from traveling to Abu Dhabi and to Alabama and to Colorado. And this was all last year. Wow. Like, this was just last year. This wasn't the years before that we spent tons of money going to Florida and going to New York and going to Arizona and all these places for various Muay Thai tournaments to get considered for the national team. Like, I went to Korea 2017. I won a gold medal in Korea. That was pretty cool. Wow.
Korea's a little scary.
That was Masterships. Yeah, that's that one right there. Nice. That was World Masterships. And that was representing Team USA.
Awesome.
And so various countries will have various tournaments, right? And that was just one of them.
And that's all out of your pocket, too.
That was all out of pocket. And that's thousands of dollars. And I didn't go without my wife.
Of course.
We both went. Yeah. We both went. So we had to pay for both of us. And she's a nurse now. So she's foot the bill for a lot of it. I mean,
well, that helps. RNs make good money.
They make good money.
Shout out to our nurses.
Not good enough for how much I'm spending, but good money.
She's like, we're getting it. We're working on it. I'm trying. She's like, we had to have a session just like the Congress. We had to decide what we're going to spend on the budget, maybe increase the deficit limit.
Speaking of, if anyone wants to sponsor me, it's a great time to hop on the train.
Oh, I would say if you are running any type of gear or any type of company or that you want to see exposure, you need to talk to her immediately. Please hit her in the DMs because she's going to go places.
It's going to be fun.
So with that being said, all the money, you guys are engaged, right?
Yeah.
With everything being spent and all of the money going into...
Oh, we got no plans for the wedding.
No plans for the wedding yet?
Not yet. It might just happen at a courthouse, and then have the reception later and do the big thing where we plan it all out for all of our friends and family. But, I mean, at this point, we've been engaged for about 2 years. Okay. Can I tell you my engagement story?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. Because this is a big one. We both proposed, right? Because after I proposed, I told her first, I want to propose first. You have to let me propose first. I'm a commitment phobe, so you got to let me do it first. Okay. She said, okay. But I did it big. I learned how to play a song on the guitar.
What?
I did not know guitar before this happened. I learned a country song on the guitar. It was Thank You by Keith Urban.
Uh-oh. Right? Okay.
And he was thanking his wife for actually allowing him to and helping enable him to get to the spot in his career because he struggled with it, a lot of substance abuse.
Addiction.
And so I have a very similar story for a lot of reasons, right? When my dad passed when I was 21, I fell into a hole.
And kind of binged it.
Yeah, I binged for a while, right? I was in college, so everybody kind of accepted it.
Makes it a lot easier.
Oh, we can drink all the time. We're in college, but really, I was depressed. And after that, she helped pull me out of that. And so I thought this song was very applicable. And I learned how to play that song. I got some of my friends from SLO, some of my Muay Thai buddies, they got, you know, professional camera photography, picture, whatever. I told them I was going to be doing it in Pismo, real close to Slow, on the beach, and they were like, "Oh, for sure, we got you." So they were out there taking secret pictures.
Oh, yeah,
she
paparazzi.
Had no clue.
Yeah, the paparazzi.
That it was happening. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So I got her a little tipsy because she's super observant. So I had to go.
She's like, "Why are all these people standing?" She's like, "That guy back there is taking pictures of us. I'm telling you."
I brought my little brother with me because he's a guitarist. So it made sense that we were bringing the guitar to the beach. Because she would have caught him.
Why are you bringing the guitar? You don't play guitar.
You don't play guitar. And I
this
told
is
her
my
that
wife,
I was learning
totally.
some guitar, right? And she's like, "Oh, cool." And so we're sitting there on the beach, and I go, "Honey, you wanna hear the song that I've been learning for you?" And she thought that me like planning this whole trip was the present. Because I don't plan shit. She plans everything. All the trips to Korea, everything. She plans it all. So she thought that the trip was the present. She's like, "Oh, you finally planned something. This is like an anniversary trip."
She's like, "Yes.
This is great," you know? We call it our half-anniversary because it's in June and our anniversary's in December. But who wants to celebrate an anniversary near Christmas?
Yeah.
So we celebrate our half-anniversary a lot of time, our half-anniversary. And she was like, "Oh, this is great that you finally planned something. I love it. You know, this is..." And so we went to a nice restaurant, got a few glasses of wine, and then we went down sunset, went down to the beach, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, you want to hear this song that I've been learning?" And she's like, "Yeah, I would love that." And so I play her the song, and she told me at the time, she was thinking in her mind, "Wow, this would be a great time to propose."
She's like,
She had been giving me shit, like, during the trip, like, "I can't believe you haven't proposed yet."
Oh, yeah.
Like, all this stuff. For months, she had been giving me
This is my wife, too.
Yeah, for months. It's just like, well, at some point, you know, you'll propose. I don't know when, but, you know.
You had to let her give
I got
up.
a ring on my finger,
Yeah,
like,
you
all
had to
kinds
let her
of
give
jokes.
up before you could actually do it, because otherwise it looks like you did it because they kept asking you.
Because she wanted me to. That's pressure, yeah.
I can't do it because you're asking me to do it.
Sorry,
Then it's not going to be valid.
Can't do it. Yeah, I know we've been together for 5 years.
I'm going to get there. Stop bothering me.
Whatever. Like, 5 years is whatever. We're going to be together forever. It doesn't matter, right, babe?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
She's like, "Well, it matters to me a little, you know."
All right, okay. I'll see what I can do.
So she's giving me shit, and even on the trip, and it's just funny because me and my brother sitting there and we're smiling at each other like we know what's going to happen. But she's thinking, "Oh, this would be a great time to propose. This is so romantic." And afterwards, I was like, "Do you like that song?" And she goes, "Yeah, I loved it. It was, I can't believe that you learned that for me." And I go, "Then I really think you're going to like this next part." And I pull out the ring, and I'm just like, "You know, will you be my wife? Will you do the honor? I love taking adventures with you, right? I love that our life is full of adventure. Every time we do something, we do it to the fullest extent. And my partner in crime, like, let's go have a ton more adventures together." And of course, she said yes.
Of course,
you know, we already kind of knew. You know, she wanted it to happen, but just having that moment, she was so shocked, dude. She's like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, then I'm sure the paparazzi's now coming out.
He was
She's
laying
like, "What in the hell?"
military style.
He's in a ghillie suit.
On
And shit.
the
It's like,
sand. We were on Shell Beach, so these rock formations put us in a cove completely alone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so he was like hiding behind the cove and like doing this, and then he army crawled on the sand. I made sure her back was like to him.
Yeah.
At least like slanted, and then I was like, "Oh, say hi to Jerry and Eric," and she's like, "Oh my God, how are they here? What's going on? This is crazy." So that was super romantic. A couple months later, because I told her after, I go, "By the way, I'm still a girl.
Yeah.
You're still going to have to be proposed to me."
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this my whole
Still got a
life.
ring finger,
Still
too.
gonna
Yeah.
have to happen.
Yeah.
So now we have 2 proposal stories instead of 1.
That's awesome.
I'll shorten this next one a little. But I told her that I wanted an adventure, because that's, you know,
That's
who we
who you are. Yeah.
And so for my birthday, she took me to Vegas. And it's funny, the first night we went somewhere super fancy. She pulled out a ring box, and I was like, "If you're proposing right now, you got to get on one effing knee. I swear to God, you're proposing." And she's like, and it was diamond earrings. She was teasing me.
She's like, "Why would I do that?"
She was
It's just
teasing
some
me.
earrings.
Yeah. So she gave me earrings, and I'm like, "You're such a jerk." Sometimes, like, total trolling me, right?
Yeah.
And laughed about it, and I'm like, okay. So she was trying to throw me off the scent, and then next day she's like, "Oh, we're going to Cirque du Soleil," and then this limo picks us up, and I'm like, "All right, fancy way to go to a show, but okay."
It's Vegas.
Yeah, whatever. It's Vegas. We're doing our thing. It's
Maybe
my
it's part of the
birthday.
ticket package. Yeah.
Let's
you know?
go. And we drive onto this tarmac where there's a bunch of helicopters, and I'm like, "Okay, what's actually going on?" And she's like, I wanted to surprise you with a helicopter ride. And I'm like, cool. We end up taking this helicopter ride into the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we go on a little hike down there, and
It lands in the Grand Canyon?
It lands in the Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then we take a little hike for a little while, and she goes, and my brother's with us again, right?
This guy's like, he's like, I love this.
He's
like,
he's recording for us.
Yeah, he's the
whole
culprit.
Time,
Yeah,
right? He's the co-pilot.
He's the double spy.
Sure, Dan. For sure, man. He's my first partner in crime. You know, now that I got another one, he's like, I gotta help her.
Yeah,
too,
I gotta teach her the ropes.
Help her tell her what's up. And so we took a little hike, and so that's where she proposed.
That's awesome.
She gave me. She's a little more introverted, so she gave me a letter and then got on one knee and said a few words, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we have two awesome.
You proposed in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how you top it. When I learned guitar just to propose,
yeah,
she topped me. Like,
no, that's pretty.
I was a little mad, but at the same time, I was like, that was pretty sweet, babe. That was pretty badass.
Listening to both of them, I don't know who had the better one.
Right, because they're different.
They're different.
One's
but
really
they're
sentimental.
Both. They're both. Either one of them. If you were to tell either one of them singly, it would be an awesome story.
We have both.
But now you have both.
Yeah.
So it's like
we're lesbians. We do whatever the heck we want.
That's see. I
yeah,
love it.
we decide we're like, we're gonna get two proposals.
How is that?
Make our own rules.
Has being in a part of the lesbian community affected you in any way growing up or in your fight career at all that you can think of?
I don't know. Not really. Everybody gets teased in high school and stuff. Yeah. Like
you get teased if you have a big nose or your ears are too big.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's just part of it.
And it's funny because a lot of people. I don't want to say a lot. I don't want to talk too much shit, but some people whine too much, and they're like, I got bullied in high school. I'm like, were you bullied or were you teased? Right? Because some people really get bullied.
Bullied is different. Yeah.
People get bullied nowadays,
no, for sure.
Right? And there's some people that really have it hard.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have it hard like that. I got teased, but I had 3 brothers.
She's like, I was good.
I had thick skin, and by the time I was 15, I started umpiring softball. I got really thick skin.
Okay.
I got really thick skin. So... I had a lot of support. It was tough on my mom when I first came out. She was real religious. She came around. Yeah. They all come around eventually.
Playing football didn't tip her off a little bit?
I thought it would have,
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't know. She's like, I thought you were doing that to me, guys. I don't know.
Would have been a good proposition though. It's not a bad way to do it. I got
a funny story for you. She wouldn't let me wrestle in high school. I wanted to wrestle.
Too much interaction.
She said she didn't want guys groping me. I said, wish come true, Mom. They don't. Right? Backfired a little bit. Backfired.
It's not guys.
Now women do.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's better though.
Sorry, Mom.
It's better. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so that's cool. So all right. So if everything could go the way that you envision it, that you're manifesting it in your head, what does that journey look like over the next 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cage Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 fights. Fight for the title for them.
Okay.
Within, I want to say, within 3 years, Bellator or UFC.
Okay. Any preference?
Either one's cool.
I
like them both.
I love UFC. I mean, obviously they're the pioneers, but I feel like Bellator's, because they're the number 2, technically.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying a little harder.
I like Bellator for a variety of reasons. I like that the fighters, you can put sponsorships and logos
on their shorts.
Because then they get to kind of individualize their sponsorships.
I can individualize it. Plus, I can make some extra money.
Okay. And it's based on how much you hustle.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So you can hustle yourself and in Bellator and make more money. So I do like the entrepreneurial side of that. Bellator takes care of their fighters. I think UFC takes care of their fighters too, right? It's just it's a different world. The thing I like about the UFC is how stacked they're.
Of course.
They have the talent.
Yeah,
and that's what I want. Is I want to fight the best.
NFL. It's like the NFL and the Canadian League.
So I think ultimately my roads will lead to the UFC. Okay. It might tangent into other promotions.
Okay.
On the way. But
I think if you go to Cage Warriors and are blessed enough to get there, I think that you will be pretty fast tracked into UFC.
I'm hoping.
I can see that happening.
We're in contact. We're trying to do some stuff. Nothing's official, right? Like I said, that's just where I'm trying to be, and I think there's a good chance I could run it through for At least a couple fights. I'm gonna put on some good fights. That's what I
for
want.
sure.
Right. That's
100%.
my ultimate goal. As cool as it is to have all these belts and win all these things, I want to put on good fights, and I want to have good fights. I want to entertain people doing what I love. Like, that's a win-win for me. I get paid to do something that I probably would do regardless of if I was getting paid.
Do you think you would ever maybe coach or teach the sport?
Yeah. So, like, in my old gym, I taught a lot.
Okay.
Because I was it was a small gym. So, like, whoever I was training with that day, whoever became my partner that day, I would help coach them.
Okay.
And maybe eventually I'll become a coach. Right now, I don't do PTs or anything because I'm focusing on myself.
Got it. Yeah.
Right. I got a pretty hefty schedule, and focusing. I mentor a few fighters like out of my gym right now. I help out a few of them. Just like, hey, I'll show up on Friday to watch you spar, even though my sparring's in the morning.
Yeah,
I'll come to your
stay,
sparring at night, and I'll try to corner you and give you some advice and tell you what I see. I explain to them my nutrition and how I do it, and my science behind things. And if they want to have questions or want to pick that up, I'm super open about talking about it, because amassing that intelligence took me a lot of time. So sharing how to do things healthily with people is really important, because you want to see longevity in this sport.
For sure.
See people doing it for a long time. Yeah, I'm down to help. But right now, I don't want to coach.
What's your social media game like?
Not very good. I don't post very much.
Why not? Why not?
I think I get very hyper focused about the moment that I'm in.
Okay.
Okay. I'm very good at putting myself in the moment that I'm in and staying completely present, which is very advantageous for certain things like podcasts, right? When you're talking to somebody, you have a good time. Promoting myself and putting the work into Instagram is not something I do as well.
Okay.
I've tried a little bit more, right? I'm at slowly but surely, like, making sure I put out semi-consistent stuff about my fighting. I think that if I got my social media game on point, that would be the next step. But
it's a big step to helping you get to the next level, because they want to see people are going to fill seats and exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of times I'm just like, man, I just want to go in there and fight. Let my fighting speak for itself,
True.
you know? And then being encompassed in the moment that you're in when you're entertaining people and feeding off that energy. But I need to show people that part of me in my social media.
Yes.
And I'm not doing that right now. I'm not staying disciplined with, I need to post this much, I need to do this. And then it's really just, it's like science, right? Cause and effect. You do this, you do this, you do this, you put in the work, and you're going to have some type of result. You stay consistent, you're going to have a result. And that's what I'm not doing. I'm very accountable with this.
It's just like, I know exactly where I'm missing.
Exactly where my
Well, I think that is probably the last piece that you're missing. I think just because you have such an outgoing and boisterous personality, I think that's so I think people need to see that part of you along with the dangerous side, because because most of the fighters, most of the fighters are not very comical. I mean, you're very serious. You can tell that you're very serious and passionate. You take it very, but you don't let it bog you down. Like, you're still living life. You're still super happy. Because you're having fun. So you can see that comes through. And I think a lot of people need to be able to see that. Like, hey, it's not just rigidness all the time. Like there is fun sides. We do tell jokes, we laugh, we joke, we play, we prank each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do shit to each other in the gym. Like, people need to see that, because the sport is growing and the female sector of the sport is growing. And I think that you're going to be a huge part of that in the next few years. 100%. I know you're busy. I'm going to wrap it up. Anybody that you want to give shots out to, anybody that you want to just give some props to, family, gym members.
Yeah, so my fiance,
obviously.
Biggest supporter.
Shout out to Wifey.
Thanks, Wifey. Thanks for supporting me all these years.
And we see her at the fights all the time. She is always there, nail biting, but she's very confident in you. She
was in my corner last time too. So she's been in my corner for, I don't know, I'd say about 25 fights.
Wow.
She's my medical corner.
Oh, got it. Well, duh.
She's an emergency room nurse.
That is so awesome.
She knows what's up.
So you have your own doctor too? Lord.
I'm just saying, I'm doing it right.
She's like, I know everything is checked. All the boxes are checked.
I checked the boxes. I just needed to go on Instagram more, and then I'll be good. Yeah, so shout out to her for sure. Steel MMA, my new home. Man, that culture when I came in was exactly what I needed. I need somebody who wasn't going to try to change me. I needed who already knew a little bit about my background, right? And I had seen them at a bunch of Muay Thai fights in various tournaments because they compete all over the place, and so did I. And coming into that culture and that energy with all of those training partners that were females and high-level strikers was super paramount to me leveling up again.
Okay.
Having Carl Gebhardt as my head coach, huge now. His strategy for striking is second to none, in my opinion. Okay. And you guys see that here and there. You'll see him in a lot of people's corners that you don't realize. That back staff is very important, especially who's in your corner.
He
does stuff he's Dom Cruz's striking coach, and then
legend.
He helps out with is it Pete Davis? Mr. Wonderful.
Phil Davis.
Yes. God, I was close.
Phil,
it was a P.
Coming to the show soon.
Sorry, Phil.
Yeah.
My bad, Mr. Wonderful. So Phil Davis, he's dope. And so he helps out with some of his stuff. And just like some of these big names that you're like, oh, wow, he's there again. Oh, wow, he's there again. You know? And you see him in the background. But he's just such a giver. And so anything I can give back to him, man, just attention-wise, is awesome because he puts the most work in without expecting return. He's like, he just wants you to work. He just wants you, and if you're working your butt off, he's working twice as hard to make sure you have the opportunity to get where you need to be.
Got it.
And so I'm super thankful for that. Even shout out to my coach that helped build me from the ground up, which is Sean Moore from Three Kings Muay Thai in Fresno, right? Anybody in Fresno, you need Muay Thai gym, he's got technique. For sure, man. For sure. He helped build me. And then, let's see, other Alliance, right?
Alliance is huge, yeah.
Yeah. Jenna Bishop, Angie Hill, right? Yes. Those two, my training partners. Tina Pettigrew is one of my training partners. Love Tina, man.
You've got to play. You're right there.
I got people now.
You're right there.
I got people now.
You're in the crew.
Jessica Penne, right?
Yes.
She's out there too. So yeah, I have this crew of like high-level people, and shout out to all of them. I do have a couple of people that helped sponsor me for World Games, and then to go over to Abu Dhabi last year for World Championships, and that's ES3, boom, physical therapy. They're awesome, right? The culture there is amazing.
Okay.
And then...
Are they based out of San Diego?
Yep.
Okay.
Tierra Santa, right?
Tierra Santa.
Yeah, right over by Steel.
Beautiful.
We're in Tierra Santa for Steel. Alpine Community, which is a construction company.
Okay.
And then my mom.
Moms.
The real estate ninja. That's
Shout
what
out
she calls
moms.
herself.
Real estate ninja.
Real estate ninja.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is she still up north?
No, she's in San Diego.
She's in San Diego too.
Yeah, she's based out of here. But they all helped me get to where I was going last year, and so
Abu Dhabi. What was that like?
That was wild.
Yeah, I bet.
Completely different world over there.
Yeah.
But I love experience. Everybody's so nice.
Yeah.
Everybody's so nice.
What you're used to over here.
Yeah, the culture. So obviously you can't show public affection, even as a male to a female.
No, for sure.
It's just it's very frowned upon. So that's hard because me and my wife like to touch each other.
Of course.
We're always holding hands, little pats on the butt, little forehead kisses.
I can't
in public. That's just a thing, man.
No
we
booty
love
pats.
each other.
I can't. No booty pats.
I can't do booty pats.
That's
I live
horrible.
off of booty pats.
For real.
Man.
It's like
what
money.
You mean?
It's
I'm
cold
starving
right there.
over here. So that was a little different. But we met some really cool people over there, and flying to different countries and learning how to navigate in different countries because they have different navigations. When I went to Korea, it was Naver Maps. It wasn't Google Maps. And everybody spoke Korean because we were out in the cuts and nobody spoke English. At least in Abu Dhabi, everybody spoke English.
Yeah.
But the service was great. The food was amazing. Man, I had some of the best fried chicken.
In Korea?
In freaking
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
American food. I didn't think was going to be that great in Abu Dhabi.
They're catering to everybody over there.
They came out with these little deep fried garlic chips on top of my fried chicken. I was like,
okay. Just like, uh-oh.
That was good stuff, man. That was good stuff. So, and then the community of the team from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
Was huge, right? Laughing with all of them and being with them for 2 weeks. I was there for 2 weeks. Wow. The tournament was 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Worlds is crazy. If you ever look into...
But it's only 3 days of competition.
Not at World Championships.
Oh, World Championships.
So
okay.
World Games was in Alabama.
Got it. Got it.
That was 3 days.
Got it. Okay.
And that has to be limited because they have so many sports. They only have like 2 weeks
total for everybody.
Sports for everybody, so they have to pack it into 3 days. World Championships for IFMA is 2 weeks long, and you might have 2 or 3 days before you have to weigh in again, which is kind of cool.
Oh.
But you'll have you'll fight one day, you'll have a day off, and then you'll fight the next day. You fight up to 5 times though.
So 2 weeks
depending
is good.
on your bracket. So you need more time because World Championships you might fight more times.
Got it.
World Games only 8
3
people.
fights. Yeah.
Are allowed in that bracket.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Only 8 countries are permitted to go to World Games for those specific brackets.
Wow.
So it's a different animal.
Yeah, different animal.
Every country can go to World Championships and have representatives.
Okay.
World Games is a little bit different, a lot more exclusive.
You would think that would have been in Abu Dhabi and the World Championships would have been in Alabama.
Yeah, so World Games, it's decided every 4 years, it rotates. And so USA hosting was kind of cool for the,
for when you were there.
For when I was there, it was kind of cool that USA hosted because we also, for Muay Thai, I don't know if you knew this, with my gold medal, brought us to the highest medal count. We got ranked #1 for Muay Thai out of all the countries.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let's go, Team USA. Let's go.
Who are we? USA. That's the chant,
awesome.
if y'all don't know.
So you've racked up golds. I have no doubt that you're going to continue on this path of racking up
I love it too much
accomplishments
to
and accolades. I am super happy we got to have you on. I would love to have you back after you make your pro debut to kind of talk about that and what that experience was like.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that you're going to be a role model out here for a lot of these girls who are looking and maybe thinking about coming into the sport, maybe thinking maybe if it's not for them or not. I think being able to see all the different types of females and all the different aspects that you guys bring in from all the different backgrounds helps the next generation.
They're wild, right? Female fights are wild.
Well, Valkyrie,
Dude.
To be said, I one of my favorite promotions. Just watching the youth go, the youth females go there and fight and see how serious they take it.
Yeah,
and
they're ready to die.
They're ready to die, and they are looking at you guys. They're in their little matches, but they stay after and they watch you guys. 100%. And you're the champion. You're the Valkyrie champion. Yeah. So they're trying to be where you're at. And so it's important for them to be able to see you, hear your story, and that's why we wanted to make sure we had you on today. I completely appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah. You guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's free to do. Go take a second. Go do it right now. It's free. Just do it. All right. Thank you. We appreciate that. And if you haven't already, please go check out the merchandise on the website. Today's code for the 50% off coupon for 50% off the merchandise for the next 48 hours is going to be World Games. Okay? So in honor of Ashley's accomplishment, if you go on the site in the next 48 hours, put in World Games, you will get 50% off all the merchandise on the site. Thank you guys for coming out. We will see you on the next one.
All right.
We are out.